All right, so before we talk about this movie, let me quickly recap why we even did this.
Yeah, and like what the movie's about, in case for some reason you've never fucking seen this movie.
In which case, shame on you if you've never seen this
Get
movie.
out of here.
This is a classic. This was such a good rewatch. I'm so
Agreed.
glad we watched this.
Me too.
But no, what kind of inspired this rewatch is if you haven't heard, Kanye West, he's doing some Kanye West shit. He's getting weird with it,
As always.
like he normally does, Mr. Yeezus. And if you didn't know, Kanye West is really big into fashion, but he did a clothing line with The Gap, which also just sounds super weird. But his most recent line that they put out, the way that they displayed it in stores was literally just giant garbage looking bags. And customers, they had to go up and they had to literally dig through the bag to find their sizes and what fits. And this was Kanye's vision. And there, I saw a meme on Instagram that just said, "We thought it was funny before. Now it's a reality." And it showed the pictures, and then it showed Will Ferrell as Bagatu, derelict. And
Yep.
we were like, we have to do this. This is incredible. We have to talk about this.
Thank you for explaining that, because that was the meme that you sent me was hilarious, but I didn't know the full thing. So The Gap, huh? Wow, that's unexpected.
Yeah, I don't know what's the weirder part of that story, that
All
Kanye West displayed clothes in giant garbage bags, or that The Gap is the company that did it.
I mean, I guess The Gap just seems like perfect and like whatever. I don't know. It just seems like perfect because it's like the exact opposite of what you'd imagine. And I'm sure that's fucking part of it. I mean, or maybe they're the only ones who would say yes, which, I mean, who knows? I haven't been to a Gap in fucking years, and I'm definitely not going if it's going to spike my anxiety like it sounds like it would. And again, it's like, he's not probably doing it on purpose. Like, it's not like he's like, oh, I'm doing this because I love Zoolander. Like, he's doing this because he's like, oh, this is really cutting edge or some shit, or there's something to say.
Yeah, he's doing it on purpose, but not for Zoolander.
Yeah, so it's not for comedy, which is really what's unfortunate, I think.
Well, like Kanye's response to almost anything nowadays is, "I'm an artist, I'm a god." Mm-hmm. That's just
totally
how
normal.
he responds.
Yeah, me too. That's what I say to people too when they come to me.
I like the Kardashian show, and I'm pretty sure that he said that's the reason that he divorced Kim. I mean, it seems crazy to us, but I don't know. Apparently, it's been selling out like crazy. So maybe the dude knows something, or he's just crazy. It's just crazy enough it might work.
People just love a spectacle and crazy shit, and they just want to watch it. Just Nope is getting more true. The message behind the movie Nope is becoming more and more true every day, I think. Yeah. Shout out Jordan Peele.
Now we can actually talk about Zoolander. So quick plot summary for this. At the end of his career, a clueless fashion model is brainwashed to kill the Prime Minister of Malaysia. All right, off to a good start.
Is that the IMDb one?
That is the official IMDb one.
That sounded familiar.
The
Jace one.
The Jace one is a movie where the fashion industry is in on the joke, but I'm not sure if they know they were the joke.
Yep, exactly. I love it.
So this movie came out in 2001, and September 2001. The budget for this movie was
really good timing.
Yeah, $28 million.
Unfortunate. Sorry, I meant unfortunate. Just mute me over here.
There we go. $28 million, and then did $60 million worldwide. So it, in some ways, it did underperform. But crazy thing, this movie opened like 2 weeks after 9/11, and I fully believe that that's the reason why this movie was not a just giant moneymaker at theaters.
Mm-hmm. It's gotta be.
Everyone I know has seen this movie. Mm-hmm. Who knows if they saw it in theaters? But
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I did, because like back then it was like 6 months to something before it would be on DVD usually, right? Or like even longer.
Maybe.
Oh, like you don't remember?
I don't.
You're not that old, Jace.
I didn't track that stuff.
Oh, you're right. I know. I'm just a freak.
Well, I just know this movie, like I've seen it probably 15 to 20 times. Like in
Wow.
high school, this was watched by me and my friends all the time.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen it since then, or at least like maybe at least 5 to 10 years. It's been a while.
You need to get better friends.
I know. Well, I used to watch it in high school too. It was like that. I watched it a lot back then, but I don't think I'd seen it in a while at least. And it's like, I don't know why, because it's just fucking amazing, hilarious all the way through. It's just one long, funny fucking joke.
Yeah, I probably hadn't seen it in, close to 10 years probably.
Makes me want to watch Tropic Thunder because he does the blackface thing here too. Ben Stiller does that twice in 2 movies and pulls it off both times. That's crazy.
Well, I don't know if he really does the blackface.
That's the implication in this movie, though. They wipe off their faces later, and it's like, oh, they were in blackface. There's no, getting around that. Yeah. But I'm just saying he does it, and then he goes, "Oh, okay, that one passed. Let's do it like 10 times harder in Tropic Thunder." Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed when they did that. I just had to bring that up front. I know I'm jumping ahead.
So the way that I thought would be a good way, a good structure for us to talk about this movie is really, this movie is just like back to back to back amazing scenes. And at the end of this, I think we need to decide which one's our favorite scene. I mean, they're all amazing, but I think that's the way to do it.
It's going to be good.
So the place for us to start is the opening, just the intro with the interview of Derek Zoolander.
Derek, I just have a few more questions, if that's okay.
Cool.
So when did you know you wanted to be a model?
I guess it would have to be the first time I went through the 2nd grade. I caught my reflection in a spoon while I was eating my cereal, and I remember thinking, wow, you're ridiculously good looking. Maybe you could do that for a career.
Do what?
Be professionally good looking.
But the thing that stuck out to me that I did not remember at all is all of the cameos in the opening scene. Like, it's wild. You have Donald and Melania Trump, like the
really
first
hasn't aged
people.
Well. Yeah.
Also, this is Melania Trump's debut on screen.
Oh.
Yeah. It's
wow. What else has she been in?
Well, the funny thing on IMDb, this is the only movie that she's credited in as an actor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Went really well the first time. She's like, yeah, I'm not doing that again.
But then also there's a ton of like big fashion people in it. Like we see Tommy Hilfiger, Tom Ford, Fabio, Donatella Versace. And I didn't know who any of these people were. So thank God I watched this with Sarah because she pointed them all out. I'm like, who are these people?
That was about to be my next question was, wow, Jace, did you know all these people by name? Or like, did you look this up afterwards? Or was Sarah helping you was my most likely guess.
Yeah, definitely. But
good.
Then
that's good.
But then there's a ton of just actors like Natalie Portman when she's 21 or something.
Super young. Like prequel Star Wars Natalie Portman. Not to be creepy, sorry. Oh yeah, that prequels, the Star Wars prequels, Natalie Portman. Oh yeah, but she is just so cute and like young in this movie. Yeah, sorry, I'm not a pervert. Everybody, she's older than I am, so it's okay.
But yeah, then Cuba Gooding Jr., Victoria Beckham, Baby Spice.
Baby Spice.
Baby Spice.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It's Posh and Baby talking together. Lenny Kravitz, Winona Ryder, Paris Hilton, Billy Zane.
Billy Zane is my favorite cameo in any movie now. He's so good. He does a lot of them, and he's the best.
Funny thing is, I know who Billy Zane is. I know his face. If anyone says it, I know who he is. I could not tell you any character that he has played other than Titanic. That is literally only. But like, I know who Billy Zane is. It's weird.
Yeah, he does like little cameos and other things, and I would say like the thing that I see him in the most is in a comedic sense where he plays himself.
Yeah.
In a unit like the movie's universe, and he always just has these hilarious cameos. I know he did a lot of movies back in the day, like in the 90s, but yeah, he was also on Twin Peaks, I think, too, back in the day, briefly. But I always think of The Office when Dwight's like, he's like, a real man makes his own luck. Billy Zane, Titanic, like quotes him. It's like, of course. Billy Zane, Titanic. So good. Winona Ryder too,
Yeah,
right?
I said her. Yep.
Yeah, that was right before she like apparently had her shoplifting thing, which is nuts.
Yeah, and then there's more people just sprinkled throughout this movie. It's just there's so many cameos.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. But
David Duchovny.
yeah, and then Ben Stiller. I mean, he just starts it off with a bang with the interview. It's like, "What's your iconic look? Blue steel."
Yeah, exactly. And you know how the blue steel, like, I thought it was really funny on the trivia. It said that the like blue steel look like came from his wife who plays the reporter in the movie, Christine Taylor. She would like make fun of him for the way he would do his face when he was like doing his hair in the mirror when he was getting ready. And that's where like the blue steel thing came from. And I was like, that's so great because I feel like guys do that. They make a certain face when they do their like hair or
I
whatever.
wouldn't know.
Like you're not looking right at yourself.
I'm also
And
very bald.
Oh, sorry. See, I don't even see hair.
When I'm rubbing my
Like
head,
that?
I get that look.
Yeah, but it's like, or like whenever they're doing anything, you know, it's just like I just feel like there's always a getting ready phase. Anyways, blue steel also just gives me like the look of like I feel like it's like, oh, I just got a dick in the ass. Like that's kind of the fucking look for me. Is like, oh shit, like it's like a ooh, like, but I don't know. Sometimes it looks like he's shocked, and maybe that's one of the like variations. Like, you know, they're all the same look, but.
I think his like opening line it just like sets the tone for the whole movie. You know, like I was in middle school and I went into the bathroom and I saw myself in the mirror and I'm like, wow, you're really ridiculously good looking. Maybe you could make a career of that. Of what? Being really ridiculously good looking.
The way he does it, you do a great impression. The way he does it is just so perfect. And yeah, it's like that line is like just probably maybe the most famous line from the movie, I would say, like besides maybe one or two others we can talk about. But I also think like Owen Wilson's intro line is pretty great and like his little like first interview.
I wasn't like every other kid, you know, who dreams about being an astronaut. I was always more interested in what bark was made out of on a tree.
Like shit like that. And I was just like, that's fucking amazing. Like what bark was made out of on a tree. It's like so good. It's just fucking hilarious.
Owen Wilson is incredible in this movie.
Yeah, and he also is just such a type of person that you know exactly like what he's like right away. He's so full of shit, but he just says all this crazy shit to sound like he's so like, oh, otherworldly and cool, you know, like so like fucking just basically like huge stoner kind of vibes.
My favorite line that he says in that whole like interview thing in the beginning is just like,
Richard Gere's a real hero of mine. Sting would be another person who's a hero. The music that he's created over the years, I don't really listen to it, but the fact that he's making that, I respect that.
I had that down too. But like the fact that he's making it, I respect that. It's like just such a thing that somebody who's just totally full of shit would say. And like it's like it sounds like I know that type of douchebag. Like I can picture him perfectly. But also he just looks great and it's so good their dynamic throughout the whole movie. But I love that little intro scene leading up to like Ben Stiller or Zoolander just accepting the award when it's clearly not him.
Owen Wilson reminds me of someone that would say that they are a citizen of planet Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like Russell Brand in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, except Russell Brand is just like not likable at all.
Yeah. Owen Wilson has that thing where he can just totally be like a total dick, but like you still kind of like him. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's how I feel in the movie for a while. And then you're like, oh, now like when they're cool, I love everything about it.
Well, and the fact that he's wearing like the Victoria's Secret angel wings during the whole interview.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. But it's funny too. I realized when I was watching this movie, I'm like, they've done so many movies together, but it's funny because they usually always have it where like their characters really don't like each other at the beginning. And then like halfway through, they realize like, oh, like we're best friends. And then they're like cool for the rest of the movie and they make like a great fucking team. I've noticed that that's usually like they make up somewhere throughout the movie and then they're like homies,
Well,
you know?
what are some of the other movies that they've been in? I feel like it's 1,000, but I know it's not that many.
That's what I thought too. And I think a lot of these are like, there's like sequels and stuff, but I just narrowed it down to like the ones I think are the most either popular or the ones that people like the most. So like besides Zoolander, Starsky and Hutch is like the other one where they're like the main stars. And that's like, I would say like my second favorite after Zoolander, because I do think Zoolander is the best.
And they bring Will Ferrell back into the mix.
Exactly. It's just perfection. And he's like just a cameo in that. But that scene with him with the fucking looking at Owen Wilson with his shirt off and all that nasty shit.
Oh, this guy.
So good. Yeah, he's so weird and so good.
Hear me out. 2 dragons.
Oh, I thought you were gonna pitch something, but yeah, 2 dragons, and then like you just see it like on the security cam footage. And then Meet the Parents.
Oh.
That's another one that came to mind because he's like more of like a cameo in that movie. Owen Wilson is.
He plays the ex-boyfriend that's still close with the parents.
Yeah, and he like fucking is like the like guy who's like doing the whole ceremony.
You know,
so
Jesus was a carpenter.
Yeah, and like he just hates him. He's like the perfect like ex-boyfriend. You're like, oh god. And then these 2 I don't think I've seen in a long time, and I just don't really remember. So I just put them at the bottom. Was Night at the Museum and The Royal Tenenbaums.
Oh yeah, I don't remember.
I think that one I've seen a long time ago, but I just don't remember it. I'm sure it's wonderful, so it's probably way better than Night at the Museum, but I just couldn't remember that one.
I know Sarah loves The Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah, I know it's a really good. I remember it's a good movie. I just haven't seen it, in a while.
Well, also on the lines of acting pairs, this is also a unique movie in that Ben Stiller and his wife are acting together. So I looked up some there's a lot of acting couples. Didn't want to go through all those, but I looked up some comedy acting couples, and it's actually a shorter list than I thought. But Melissa McCarthy and Ben Falcone in Bridesmaids.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Probably my favorite now.
Incredible. Nick Offerman and his wife Megan Mullally in Parks and Rec, which is
that's also great.
It's incredible. And then my favorite show, Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Every time with you, dude. I swear to God, people are gonna think we're like secretly doing like a satanic cult. Which, like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe
if that's what the audience wants, but
I'll do it.
But Always Sunny, they have Charlie Day and Mary Elizabeth Ellis, which in that show they hate each other, and then
those are always the best.
And then Rob McElhenney and Caitlin Olsen. Yeah, do you have any others?
Yeah, Mark Duplass and his wife.
Oh,
Katie Azelton.
Oh yeah, on The League.
The League.
Oh, that's right.
I always liked that they weren't even together on the show, and they didn't like each other either. I think it's pretty funny that was just another one that I remembered. I'm sure there's plenty more.
I feel like that's just got to be so much fun. Like if you're in a happy, loving marriage, like what if we just like pretended we hate each other?
I mean, I feel like you probably get out a lot of good stuff. There's also a really great Parks and Rec episode with Amy Poehler and Will Arnett from back in the day when they were together. And then that's like so funny because he's just so weird. And then they were also in that Will Ferrell movie with the ice skating one. What's it called?
Oh, Blades of Glory.
Blades of Glory. Yeah. They were like played siblings in that one who like were in love with each other, like Cersei and fucking Jamie Lannister or some shit. But they did it first.
One thing that I noticed that I thought was really funny was after he loses, he thinks he's going to win. He goes up and does the whole speech. He then goes home and they had the congratulations banner. They didn't take the banner down. They just corrected it.
Yeah, that's
like,
what's great.
These people are so dumb. Like, you just take the banner down. 4? No, you're going to go back to 3.
Yeah, it's just so cute. Well, it's because they're so mean. His like roommates is just a really great whole part because they're so adorable and they are so like nice. They're well-meaning, but they're fucking idiots.
All right. Well, since you mentioned the roommates, that actually kind of leads us on to the second scene that I want to talk about, which is the
Orange Mocha Frappuccino! Yeah! Yeah! Come on, man! Come on!
One of the most insane sequences ever.
So good.
But on this rewatch, I think the most insane thing to me was seeing Alexander Skarsgård, the polar opposite of the Northman. You know, like in the Northman, in most things I can think of him, he's jacked. He's huge.
Did you watch The Northman? Finally?
Not yet. I'm gonna. But like, you know, if you don't know what we're talking about, listener, just Google The Northman. The guy with his shirt off covered in mud, that's Alexander Skarsgård. That's the same
People
guy.
better know who he is. If you don't know who he is, come on. That guy is so hot.
He's 150 pounds at best in this movie.
Yeah, he's very young.
Me and Sarah were just like, is that Alexander Skarsgård? And then it turns out it's his first movie.
First American movie, yeah. Like I think he was doing stuff over in Sweden because, like, I mean, look at him, and his dad's an actor, so
Daddy Skarsgård.
Yeah, Daddy Skarsgård's got all those great kids that are just so good at acting. I love them all more and more. I am always happy to discover another one, but Alexander is like, he's the oldest, right? And he, obviously, I think, and he's just in this movie so adorable.
He's a baby.
He's so cute. He's so young
guy.
I mean, he's still like fucking like 6'3" or some shit, but he's still like, he's so like just young, and like his accent is like super exaggerated and amazing.
It's like, excuse me, but have you ever heard of styling gel?
Well, you know more about Skarsgård than I do.
Yeah, I do. I have an unhealthy obsession with him. I had a weird dream about him the other night.
Oh, geez.
And it was like this, I literally think it was the craziest dream of my life because I remembered it all the whole day. But the main part was that I think Nolan was mad at me. And so I was going to win him back by getting on a horse and bringing it somewhere. I don't remember why. But anyways, I was like at my house and we were having a party and I was like figuring this out. And I walk into the kitchen and Alexander Skarsgård was sitting there. And I was all like, you know, distracted, whatever. Then I realized it's him. And then I was telling him how much I loved him in The Northman. And he said, would you like me to speak to you in Swedish and choke you at the same time? And I was like, yeah, I think I would actually.
That would be lovely.
I was like, you know what? Thanks for asking. I was actually pretty into it.
Gentleman.
I know. I was like, wow. And I don't know why that combination came out of his mouth or what my brain was up to, but it was like a really nice part of the dream, actually. But anyways, you got to see him in The Northman. I think you'll understand. Like, he's now like Daddy Skarsgård to me.
He's a different kind of daddy.
Yeah, we need to do like a, you know, side by side of him back then in this one. But he's been in so many good movies.
Real quick on the dream.
Sorry, I was trying to brush right past that.
Oh no, we're not. I'm not letting you out of that. Was this Northman Skarsgård or was this Zoolander Skarsgård? Because very different dreams.
Yeah. No, yeah, 100%. I mean, I think I would say yes both times, but I'm gonna say no. Like, I would enjoy The Northman more, and that was what it was because I hadn't rewatched Zoolander yet. Maybe it was because I knew that this was his first movie before, because I've just remember that fucking trivia that I read it like 10 years ago. So I was just excited to see him, I think. And that's my ultimate Skarsgård right there. It's like a tie maybe between The Northman, Alexander, and Pennywise with Bill.
Oh, jeez.
Not in a creepy way. I'm not one of those people who's like obsessed with want to fuck Pennywise all the time. But I'm just saying, like, I think I'd still hit it. Yeah.
So on a different note, the roommates.
Hey, you wanted to come back here, dude. I'm making it more awkward so that we can move on.
So the roommates, they are short-lived, literally. But man, are they just hilarious?
So
the fact that they sleep in bunk beds, and
it's so adorable. Everything about it. It's just so like upbeat. The wake me up before you go, and they're like orange mocha frappuccinos, and they're like it's like they're shooting a fucking music video. Is basically what it is, you know.
I think this movie is a huge part of why that song is like so recognizable.
Like nowadays,
that song was a big hit, you know, when it came out. But like this movie, like gave it a whole second life of just being the orange mocha frappuccino song.
I mean, it's basically like what happened with Kate Bush and running up
A
that hill.
little bit.
Bringing it back to Stranger Things, like I'm always trying to. I just have to figure out a path in my brain and I'll get there.
And the gasoline fight is
so good. That's the one thing I remembered from this movie, like most of all, I think.
20 years later, it's still just hysterical. Like how it escalates from throwing the water on each other to them just pulling the gas and just flinging
It's
gas.
so good. It's like slow-mo, like with it's just like a real music video, like that. And then the guy's just like, yeah, lighting up a cig. It's like so good. And like, it's like, okay, so these guys actually are even dumber than Zoolander because he's the one who realizes, oh no, like don't do that. So at least we know this guy's pretty dumb, but he's not that dumb. Good baseline.
And then it cuts to the funeral. We all can die in a freak gasoline fight accident.
Yeah, I think the best part of it is when Owen Wilson comes in and has like a DJ like do the music and like announce his entrance.
I was like what funeral has a DJ?
It's honestly pretty perfect because it just feels like, yeah, male models and this whole modeling thing is just so good.
Yeah, it's just,
I mean, it's just a total gold mine for comedy.
Totally. And it just, he's in his speech, he's about to retire, and then here I'm going to do my best like impression. Hansel. And then you just hear the beat drop and they come in, and then Will Ferrell just coming in hot.
Hansel, so hot right now. Hansel.
I love that. Yeah, Hansel. That Hansel. And then even at the end when he's like against him, he's like, that Hansel is so hot right now. Like the whole time. That's like I think maybe that line might be the one that always I remember for Will Ferrell. Because it's so good. It was like a really popular phrase too when this movie came out, which is just, I mean, there's just so much good. I mean, literally, it's like you're almost going like scene by scene through the movie because every fucking scene is so goddamn funny.
Yeah, like there's little scenes.
Incredible.
There's little scenes like in between these where like not like some things kind of happen, but like you can get up and go to the bathroom and come back and you're there for the next great scene. And so let's get into Will Ferrell. So the next scene is the Mugatu Zoolander meeting. And my favorite line is the opening bit, brings in the latte, and then he just throws the coffee on his assistant, and he's like, you know I get farty and bloated with a foamy latte.
It's so good.
So,
all of his little freakouts are just like top notch. They're just perfect.
Also, the fact like that whole scene, Will Ferrell is just like moving his face in the weirdest ways. Like when Zoolander's talking to him, he's just looking at him with the biggest eyes, and he's like, "Yeah, I know, I couldn't have you, but now I gotta have you." And so let's talk.
Yeah. The one maybe besides like Ron Burgundy where like Will Ferrell kind of disappears and he just becomes the character like so much because it's just so like it's so intense of like this is a very specific choice and this is like a very specific guy and like that and Ron Burgundy are like the most in character I feel like because it's like the other ones are they kind of look like him normally but they're just variations where it's like Mugatu and Ron Burgundy have like a very specific look.
And I want to talk about that, but I have to tell a quick story about Mugatu.
I would love to hear that.
So years ago, when I was working at a tech startup, I was managing a sales team, and our team sold to the beauty industry. Like that was our team. We were the beauty squad. And so one Halloween, we had a costume contest across all the different sales teams. And so we came to work dressed up in Zoolander. And so everyone on my team,
like all like Zoolander, the act, like the character, or like the Zoolander movie theme.
They were all dressed up in Derelict theme. So they all came with like crazy David Bowie makeup, but just like wearing trash bags in newspaper. And I came as Mugatu, and I have
naturally
I have that outfit from the scene where it says Mugatu over his chest. I have a big old blonde wig, giant sunglasses, and I rode the bus to work that day in this outfit. And I had a little stuffed animal poodle that I carried around with me, and people just stared at me on the bus, and there's nice.
Yeah.
I never felt
like
more
everyone's-
supported in my life. Just everyone
That's so
got
cool,
it.
though. Everyone gets it. It's great when you have a costume that everyone recognizes. Because if you don't, it's like super weird. And they're like, what the fuck are you? But I also feel like you are really good at dressing up. And you've done that ever since I've known you. Because, you know, behind the scenes little trivia that back in high school, you would one of our things was we would go to midnight showings
Mhm.
and dress up. And for the Spider-Man 3 and for Fantastic
Yeah,
Four,
I had my body painted black for Spider-Man 3 as Venom.
head to toe. Yeah.
And
Just biker shorts on.
yep. And then Fantastic Four, I
Fantastic
was
Four.
Silver Surfer, also
Yep.
just in my underwear.
And he just shows up like that with the full body look. Like everything was shaved. So it was like perfect fucking, like you literally look just like him. And Ian did an incredible job for like the black Spider-Man suit that he did. But yeah, you like went to the theater with like flip-flops and a trench coat and like the paint on.
Yeah, it was the most poorly conceived disguise. Like, oh yeah, this is my outfit for the show. I'm definitely not gonna take all this off once I get in the theater. Like,
yeah, like the most sus like fucking outfit too. It's like trench coat and no pants, and like then you're just like covered in body paint. I was like, I don't know how they let you in there. And then the minute that we would get in the theater, you would whip off
Just
your
dropped
trench
it.
coat and shoes and just run through the aisles. And people fucking ate it up. They loved
they
it.
loved it. It was a good time.
But it was just like I was like, I'm really picturing, like, I've always appreciated your commitment to dressing up because not a lot of people do that anymore. You know, I feel like I've always been the only one at work dressing up. And I like the commitment of riding the bus because you got to.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Well, and you know, we'll just kind of tease this, but maybe we'll tell the story if we ever do a relevant movie. But my most iconic one, I think, has to be when I dressed up as Megan Fox for Transformers. that
one, yeah, that
got
was
some
good.
looks, let me tell you.
Especially because that was like what I was saying is like more of a generic costume that like it's not like she's got a superhero outfit, like you just dressed up as a woman basically. And then Jordan like half committed, so he just like wore like a tube top and like
but no wig,
like
just
no
he had a
wig and
beard.
nothing, no makeup. Yeah, just full body hair and everything, like shorts, and then that was it. And then at least like Tim and them were like covered in cardboard
yeah,
costumes.
they were
for, like,
Transformers.
But then they took those off and they're just wearing their fucking basketball shorts. So we just did not make sense at all. Nobody
you can't
knew.
sit in the booth in those boxes. But anyway,
Yeah. Oh, you also did the mask, which was great, and we do have video proof of that we'll have to share at some point. We should do a mask or just maybe a Jim Carrey episode.
I'm down for that. We'll post some pictures on the Instagram, so follow us there. Only of the Mugatu. We're not posting all the pictures, but the Mugatu one we'll post. Okay, so one of the things that surprised me the most is like Will Ferrell has been such a part of my life, you know, in growing up. I've just always imagined him being Will Ferrell. And it was weird looking at his IMDb. And this is like the second Will Ferrell feature, like movie where he's featured. Like he has this whole history of SNL, but like this was like his first movie outside of SNL that was essentially the start of Will Ferrell. He had Night at the Roxbury, and then he did this. And then after this, like the doors just opened. He does Old School, and then he does Elf, and then Elf is when just the world changes. And we know Will Ferrell for who he is now.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's just quick succession of just some of the greatest fucking Will Ferrell movies.
There's just so many Will Ferrell characters. He's everywhere. I don't know. What are some of your favorite like characters that he's ever done?
Well, there's like so many good ones is the hard part. Like but I think I've narrowed it down to like the top at least, and tell me if you agree. Besides Mugatu and Zoolander, but I have Ron Burgundy and Anchorman. And then I have Alan Gamble / Gator in
Alan Gamble.
the other guys. Yeah, that's like one of my favorites. Frank the Tank from Old School. Brennan Huff from Step Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Ricky Bobby, Talladega
Mhm.
Nights. Buddy the Elf from Elf, and then Steve Butabi from Night at the Roxbury, which, I mean, those are just fucking all-timer roles right there, and he's done them all. Like, it's
And
insane.
that's not even including some of his great cameos like Big Earl and Starsky and Hutch. Like,
Exactly. There's too many cameos, I can't even think of them because there's just so many. But yeah, I mean, if you had to pick a favorite out of there, like, what's your favorite? Is it the Zoolander? Not the Zoolander, but you know what I mean. Mugatu.
I think. Oh, also, one that you missed was Chaz in Wedding Crashers.
That's I thought you said that was a cameo.
I guess yeah.
That's what you said. I also put it down earlier, but then I go, oh, Jay said that was a cameo because you were very specific about the cameo rules to me yesterday.
You're right.
And I think it was because I just tried to break apart your category like I always do because my brain works in mysterious ways.
Ma, meatloaf.
I mean, it's good enough that you're like, yeah, he's the third lead.
Yeah.
Not Rachel McAdams, it's him.
I think
it's hard.
I think my favorite has to be Anchorman. Just because the movie's just incredible.
I don't think I've seen that one either in a while, so that'd be a fun rewatch.
Then I would probably say it's got to be Mugatu or Alan Gamble, Gator.
Him and Mark Wahlberg too. Like, I mean, he has a lot of people that he like plays off of really well.
Gator's bitches better be wearing jimmies.
But like, yeah, him in that movie, and not only him playing off Mark Wahlberg, but also Eva Mendes and his relationship is just so good.
The old ball and chain.
It's like that movie does not need to be great, and it is fucking great. That's another good one we should do with like another one. But also then Frank the Tank is just iconic when he's like, "We're going streaking! Yeah! We're going streaking!" And they're like, "You're the only one." He's like, "No, they're at the gymnasium. They're coming. There's more, but I love it." And then he like gets in the car all wasted and naked.
You're my boy. Woo!
Exactly. But then you think about like for each one of these, they're iconic. Like Brennan from Step Brothers. I can't get over how much I love him in that. And Ricky Bobby, like, come on. Yeah. Buddy the Elf, though, is like one of the like my favorites just because it's so pure of heart.
I think Buddy the Elf is the moment that everything changed.
Yeah. Because he's not just like, I mean, these are all just very Will Ferrell kind of characters. I mean, granted, like, you know, Buddy the Elf is another one maybe that he kind of disappears into character like Ron Burgundy and Mugatu. Like you don't even see him for a while because you're like, oh yeah, he's just the elf. He's so cute.
So Mugatu steals the show in every scene that he's in, but Ben Stiller in this scene is also just incredible. Like
as always,
the Derek Zoolander Center for Children Who Can't Read Good and Want to Learn to Do Other Stuff Good Too.
It's just perfect. Like the way that, I mean, everything about it. I can't even do it better than him. But yeah, the line that I always remember from this movie, I think that just still makes me laugh is just,
"What is this?
A center for ants?
What? How can we be expected to teach children to learn how to read if they can't even fit inside the building?"
What is this? A center for ants? It's just so good.
It has to be at least 3 times this size.
Like, yeah, like 3 times as big. It's like, yeah, okay. And they're like, yeah, totally, it does. Yeah, you're right.
That's my favorite part is just Will Ferrell looking at the other guy. He's absolutely right.
It's just great. I mean, all of it, the like how dumb he is everywhere. It's just, there's all these little things too. And then there's also like Owen Wilson is dumb, but like in a different way, kind of a dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when he always gets me when he's like, in the computer. And he's like, oh, of course, it's so simple. Like it is though. And he's so good and like that dumb, like he's got that stoner humor. That persona gets me.
They all have their own like distinct style of stupid. Like,
it's great though. Like it's all these variations that are just perfect. Wait, so is that you? Did you pick your favorite? That was
yeah.
You were going with, okay. I guess I didn't pick mine, but I'm gonna go with. I guess I feel like I gotta go with Brennan from Step Brothers, but I know it's like kind of a co-lead movie, so if I'm going just like straight up him, then I'm gonna go Ron Burgundy
Yeah.
too. I feel like that's more of like his movie. Like there's 3 other guys, and they're all amazing, like Paul Rudd and fucking Steve
I mean,
Carell.
really,
And
it could be any of them. It's really dealer's
that's what I'm saying.
choice.
He just is perfect. Like and like he is the whole movie. It's great.
I also love the very beginning of the movie when they're talking about the Malaysia stuff, and Will Ferrell's just like, I sent them some pet oxen. They love that crap in Malaysia.
He's
Oh
so
my
fucking funny in
God.
this movie. Everything. I mean, all of them, and it's so good. It's all just perfect. I have no notes for this movie at all. It's just excellent. And it's like, yeah, there's just no downtime. It's just so fucking funny. Every little thing, the like 3-way that they have later is so great when she's like,
Oh yeah,
talking about like I used to be the fat kid. He's like, ew.
Ew.
It's like just so good. Yeah, just once him and Owen Wilson, like I love their, the underwear, I always think of the underwear, but the walk off.
Let's get to that. That's my next
Yeah.
scene is the
Yeah,
walk
okay,
off.
perfect.
So
That's great.
I might be giving it away. This entire scene, I laugh the entirety of it. It's just so funny. There's so many hilarious lines, like in the fact that like it just starts with them having this stare down, and like you see Paris Hilton, you're just like, what? And then like they confront each other, and then Billy Zane tries to step in, put a cork in his Zane.
I love that so much. It's so good. That's what I'm saying. Whenever Billy Zane, I feel like on The Boys, they also like make reference to him, and he's like, isn't he like one of those guys at like one of those old conventions or some shit? And he plays like himself, but I don't know if he had superpowers. But I swear he plays like Billy Zane, and it's just so funny. I just think he's like a great like persona. I have only seen him in Really in Titanic, but yeah. I know his persona because people reference it a lot. It's fucking hilarious. And that got me that line.
Well, then they kick it off with,
So I guess you can dare lick my balls, Capitan.
I can derelict my own balls. Thank you very much.
Yeah, they're little like every time that they have to like they start talking shit to each other, you just know it's gonna be good. And then yeah, the walk off, I love that. It's also like later when they're like, oh, they're like beatbox like fighting or whatever. It's
breakdance
like,
fighting.
or breakdance fighting. That's what it is. Yeah, it's like it's just so good. It's like the models like they do just like the stupid fucking version of shit.
And then also the best cameo of David Bowie. Rest in peace. Like it was so good to see him again. He's so funny in this. And the funniest part of this whole scene is just the sheer intensity of it. Like it's so serious, and like Beat It is the perfect song to it. And they're just like dancing, walking. And it reminds me a lot of it's like I grew up watching all the Rocky movies. And so like when they're off the walk, they're like in their corner and they have their trainer that's like, you doing it? And then Owen Wilson is like, I can't see anything, man. You got to cut me. It's like, that's a straight rip from Rocky. And then they cut his eyelash. He's like, ha! Ha!
I know. I love that whole scene with the like their version of like boxing, whatever.
Yeah.
And then when he like pulls off his underwear, it's like, okay. But actually back on David Bowie, I forgot to mention that when we were watching it last night again, I was like, hey, Nolan, who is that? Do you know who that is? And he goes, and then it fucking says David Bowie on the screen, and he goes, David Bowie. And I'm like, you wouldn't have known that if it did not just fucking say it. And he goes, yeah, no, I wouldn't have.
Shame like, on you, Nolan.
And then he goes, wait. Was he that guy from that movie? And I'm like, oh God. And he's like, The Labyrinth. And I'm like, yes, but like, don't do that. He's been doing that a lot. And it's like very upsetting. Like the famous one is that Kathy Bates from The Office? It's like, no. I mean, he's only 2 years younger than me, but he knows how to upset me and make me feel like I'm 100 years older. including this one. I was just like, come on, David fucking Bowie, really? Okay. The guy, I mean, I love Labyrinth as much as the next person, but he's not from the Labyrinth. Sorry, enough rant over. I just thought that was good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the part where Owen Wilson, he's like, gotta go manga. And he gets the crazy eyes, just like his face that entire time. He just walks down, then puts his hand in his pants, and just it's the face. Like that whole scene is so funny to me because it's just comedic. It's this physical comedy. It's so funny.
That's always really good too, and like Ben Stiller then does it just perfectly, and like his is like towards like the end, and everyone's reactions too. It's like it's the most exciting thing ever.
Yeah.
It's just so good, and when they're like showing up of close-ups of like Owen Wilson's face, I'm just like, I love Owen Wilson, and his like his nose is like so fucked, but like he's just pulls it off, right? I mean, I would hate to see what he looked like with a normal nose. I don't think it would be the same. I think that's like part of what makes him super like. I mean, it works for the character, but it also just works for him. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. Like, there's no other person out there who's like, yeah, my nose is broken. I guess I'll be an actor.
Well, and then we can connect the three-way scene to this sequence because that part is just so funny.
It's talking and then leading up to it, yeah.
And I really respected the satire and like their commitment to satire during that whole really serious part when she's talking about being bulimic, and like you're drawn into this really emotional thing.
Like she does an actual good job doing it. Like you're like, oh, she's actually like selling the shit out of this.
And then Ben Stiller just, ew.
But he's like, no, that's like when she says she's fat. But yeah, then he's like, when she says that she's bulimic, they're like, so like
you can read minds.
Oh yeah, that's what they say. You can read minds, and then they're like, she's like, no, like I throw up after every meal, and then they're like, yeah, so what? She's like, so that's like a disease, and they're like, we all do that. Like, are you kidding? I do that all the time. It's a great way to keep off the weight.
You guys are so fucked up.
I know. I just love it though. They're like, what? What's the problem? But then, yeah, like you can read minds. Just all the little like things that he gets wrong.
How many aboriginals do you see modeling? Oh, thought you were going to tell me what a bad Googleizer I am.
A what?
A Googleizer? One who speaks at funerals? Or did you think I'd be too stupid to know what a googly was?
Earth to Matilda. I was at a day spa. Day. D-A-I-Y-E. Okay?
Yeah.
Is what's great. And also the other little fun cameos like around this section, or like maybe I think it's before this when he does the he goes off to the mines with his dad, John Voight. And like Vince Vaughn, I'm like, oh yeah, I fucking forgot Vince Vaughn was like one of the brothers. I don't think he speaks.
No,
right?
He doesn't have one line.
Which is funny because I'd like they tell you in those things, it's like they pay like extras get paid a whole nother amount if they speak.
Oh.
So you have to have them like for background extras, they're like silent, you know?
Yeah.
I learned this like through the newest episode of The Rehearsal, which he like is trying to simulate a child's birthday party, but he doesn't want to spend a lot of money on actors.
Yeah.
So he hires only background actors. And so he's like having a party, and him and his actor son can like, talk, but nobody else can respond to him. So they're all just like, and he's like just talking and trying to speak, and it's just a pure silent birthday party. He's like, it didn't have the intended effect. I'm like, that's fucking hilarious. Cause yeah, I always forget that like they do that. And it's funny. They probably it's just like a fun little quick cameo.
And I don't know if Vince Vaughn was Vince Vaughn yet.
Vince Vaughn yet. I mean, I'm sure he'd done Swingers.
Yeah.
But I feel like this was probably, what it was his big break. Like, would you say like Wedding Crashers?
No, Swingers was his movie.
I mean, like when he became like Vince Vaughn. Yeah.
I'd say Wedding Crashers was his second wind.
Ooh, that was nice. I like that phrasing. Okay, but yeah.
I love John Voight and how they don't give him a single comedic line. There's like, you are a dramatic actor and you are going to play this as a dramatic actor in this awful wig. You're going to play this.
So good. And then at the end, how he's like proud of him again. And you're like,
my son.
Yeah, it's like, why? I love it too, because like when they're at the bar and they get all upset because the mermaid ad comes on the TV.
Merman!
And then they get mad, they get all upset with him, whatever. And then I was just thinking, like, is this the most ridiculous look that he has in this whole movie? Because it's got to be, right? I mean, he's got the lipstick and he's like moving like a fish, right? And the tail. I mean, it's got to be the craziest or most ridiculous one, right? Like, is there one that's worse?
Well, Renee, what are you talking about?
I mean, not
all
worse.
All of his looks are the same.
The man has only one look, for Christ's sake! Blue Steel? Ferrari? La Tigra? They're the same face! Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
That's another soundbite I wrote down. Like, that line was perfection, but like, not like, his face. I got you. That was a good joke. I got you.
I got
not
you.
at all what I said, but whatever. Go ahead.
I think it's probably the merman. That's probably the craziest. The
merman.
Merman!
There's one like little bit during like a montage of his work where he's like saddled up to a gimp and he like
getting fucked by that big guy. Yeah. I also clocked that. That was also something I wanted to circle back to, but I forgot. That one might be worse. Thank God that didn't come on the TV when he was with his dad. That would have been worse. Might not have been able to forgive it. Maybe you'll see that one in the sequel. I don't know. I meant to ask if you ever saw the sequel.
No, I didn't.
I don't think I did either. Weird, right? We're all like, we love this one so much. Maybe we did. I just don't remember it.
I think I just felt weird about it because it was during that whole like stint of 20-year later sequels.
You mean like every year since we've been growing up?
Well, like there was like a period where it was like all of them. There was Dumb and Dumber 2.
Oh,
there's Anchorman 2.
I thought the sequel came out right away. When did it come out?
Dumb and Dumber 2?
No. I'm talking about Zoolander. I thought the sequel would have come out like
Zoolander
right after.
Zoolander came out in like 2019 or something.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, no, I never saw that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Weird.
Probably will go back and watch it.
We should.
Now that I've watched this. So the last section.
It's on Paramount Plus. Sorry, I just found that out.
We're doing it. We signed up for Paramount Plus just for this episode.
If I hadn't just spent $20 to rent Nope for 48 hours, I would be putting this on right away. But I'm going to get my money's worth because I don't think I could buy that for like 4 days or something. So I'm just going to have to rent it a couple times. I'll hopefully be able to go 2 days without it. But man, as soon as I'm ready, I'm watching the sequel. I forgot that it's one of those later ones. I think I'll like it because it's also... Justin Theroux helped write it, and they also wrote Tropic Thunder, and Ben Stiller directed. This has promise. I forgot all about it.
As long as you go into it not expecting it to be the first one, they're good movies. Anchorman 2 was a fun movie. Yeah. Dumb and Dumber 2 was a fun movie. They're not the originals.
That's just what you got to do nowadays, though, with like certain movies. Just gauge your expectations. Not everything has to be the best fucking thing you've ever seen.
Amen.
Not everything can be everything everywhere all at once. That's the message.
Only that movie can be that.
And it really is.
All right, so the last scene is the Derelict fashion show.
Let me show you the future of fashion. Let me show you Derelict!
So good.
I mean, the whole sequence of them sneaking into the office and the files are in the computer.
Yeah, again, the blackface back then was a bold choice, but it's so good because I think it works because they're not like it's obvious when they do their makeup, he's using a little compact and then they look like fucking they're just not even the same. Exactly. They're other actors.
Different actors.
But then they do wipe off their faces. So he's like implying it, which again, interesting choice. And I feel it's crazy that it works, but it does. It still works.
A bold move, Cotton.
It hasn't aged like poorly, you know what I mean? Like it's still funny. Same with Tropic Thunder when I went back and watched that. I was like, is that gonna be like kind of tough to watch now? And I'm like, actually, it's fucking great. It's perfect.
Well, the whole fashion show is just hilarious. Like the breakdance fighting.
Yes, the DJ,
it's insane.
And it's just the music that they have to change. That's it.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. And you have the whole reveal that he was the guitar player or keyboard player for the band that wrote Relax, but they wrote it after they kicked him out of the band.
So good.
Oh my gosh. And that's another thing, kind of like the walk off where it's just like a lot of physical comedy. Like they keep changing the song back and forth, and Ben Stiller like goes from like screaming and doing karate to back to normal walking.
It's great. And then I feel like the whole time I was just thinking, the Malaysian prime minister, which I gotta say, the way that they fuck up Malaysian throughout, like him and like Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson, they never say it right.
Derek and Matilda are in hiding because some dudes brainwashed Derek off the Prime Minister of Micronesia.
Malaysia.
Right. Listen up, everyone. Fugatu's a dick. He tried to brainwash Derek to kill the claymation dude.
He's sitting there the whole time smiling. And that's what I love, is that like all of this is going on, and Zoolander is like dancing and then switching back and forth between that and like fucking karate crazy shit. And it's like everyone's freaking out, and he's just like sitting there going, wow, this is a good show. It's just like he's still sitting there and nobody's like around him, like guarding him. It's just pretty good. It's hilarious. And then the way that like the dagger thing that Mugatu throws is
he stops it with Magnum.
And then it's like right after Will Ferrell had just gotten done like talking about how like all of his looks are the fucking same. And then I love that when he does Magnum, it's like he's like, oh my God, he's a genius. Like it's beautiful. And it's like he gets it now, and everybody does. It's like the fucking perfect thing. And then it stops the like, what is that, like throwing star?
Yeah.
And like it just falls to the ground. I love it. Perfection.
Well, and thing I had no clue about until I looked up the trivia was that this movie is banned in Malaysia because of the fictional prime minister. And I'm like, what? Like the fictional the prime minister being subject to assassination. I was like, really?
Yeah. I mean,
like it's still banned?
I mean, yeah, I feel like they also just kind of like, they're like, let's just be safe. We're not going to give anybody the idea, especially because like, I feel like, it was a really big deal when they did that movie. What's that one with James Franco and Seth Rogen, The Interview? I love that movie so much. But yeah, it's like that one caused like such a big stir with like North Korea. Obviously, it's not as bad as that, but it's still like, sure, it's not great. The guy's like, I'd like to keep my head.
Yeah. And the movie ends with Ben Stiller's dad,
which like he's great.
I think Ben Stiller's dad in this movie, everything he says is hilarious.
Jerry Stiller, he's amazing.
Like when he's talking to Mugatu on the phone and he's like trying to take a piss and he's like,
we're running out of time. Capiche?
Yeah, capiche. Now if I can only capiche. My prostate's flaring up like a freaking tiki torch. Give me a little pee-pee. Come on. A couple of drops. That's what I'm talking about!
He's fucking hilarious. Like he's like every time I rewatch Seinfeld, I'm just always like dying whenever everything he does. It's like R.I.P. man. He was so wonderful. And I love how many of Ben Stiller's movies he's in. And sometimes like a lot of the times not even as his dad. It's like some other guy. But it's like it works.
Or then like at the end of the movie, Owen Wilson throws the computer and he's like, where did all the files go? And then Ben Stiller's dad comes up and he's like, I have them all on a zip drive.
Yeah.
I remember what he said. I was like, man, when's the last time anyone mentioned a zip drive?
I did think that was pretty dated. I was like, wow, I haven't heard anyone. I think I last heard that on like Sex and the City when I was rewatching that, which is like from like the early 90s, That also was like a big deal back then. So it's just a weird, it's like, oh wow, I bet people nowadays have no idea what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, totally. Well then, like he's like gets on the phone with his wife and he's trying to get his wife to get the zip drive. He's like, we'll just take it out of the microwave, put it in some Tupperware, and I'll eat it when I get home.
Yeah, like
but
arguing.
I need you to bring the zip drive.
He was like, I could have it here in like 10 minutes. It's like I thought he had it on like a helicopter. And it's like, oh, I gotta get on the freeway from Jersey. It's like this. So good. Just great. Everybody in this movie is bringing their A game. And if you haven't seen it in a while, I recommend watching it. Maybe we'll do a part 2 on Zoolander 2. If we feel so impassioned.
Maybe. Or maybe there's a whole part to 20-year sequel podcast where we talk about all those.
Do you know how long that podcast would be? I have so much to say about a lot of things already. Like, give me that's like every movie nowadays.
That's true.
But it'd be fun to talk about which ones we would like and which ones we hope they don't do. That would be better.
Well, before we wrap, of all the scenes that we talked about,
we didn't even pick a favorite.
The intro interview, Orange Mocha Frappuccino Gasoline Fight, Zoolander Megatu Derelict, the walk-off, or the Derelict show, which one's your favorite?
God, that's just too hard. But I think I'm going to pick the walk-off. It's either that or the Orange Mocha Frappuccino. Still gets me every time. It's just so good. But the Owen Wilson and like Ben Stiller energy is perfect in that walk-off scene.
Yeah. There's no wrong answer in this list.
I know, I could say all of these.
So good. I think, mine is the walk-off as well. Right there behind it is the Zoolander Megatu. Some of the best lines are in that scene. So.
Literally, it's crazy how many of these lines I was like, wow, all of these are in one movie. This movie it's just perfect. Maybe I just haven't watched a really great comedy where everything works like in a while, but it was perfect.
So good.
Yeah.
So glad we watched it.
Yeah. Rewatch complete and let's rewatch it again.